This segment is brought to you by AJ Fernandez Cigars. Cigar connoisseurs are already raving about this exquisite cigar, which pays homage to Christopher Columbus' discovery of tobacco during his expedition of the New World. The New World cigar by AJ Fernandez is a medium to full-bodied cigar showing off the kind of exquisite construction that is expected by master blender AJ Fernandez. This gorgeous box press cigar features a delicious dark chocolate Nicaraguan wrapper that houses a blend of Ometepe, Condega, and Esteli filler that is bound with a jalapa binder. Once lit, the perfectly balanced and refined New World gives off a beautiful billow of smoke and hits you immediately with some spice and citrus flavors. As you begin to lose yourself in the rich aromas of the New World, the flavors become more complex and begin to express hints of hazelnut and coffee. New World is a first-time collaboration between AJ Fernandez and his father Ishmael, which really makes this cigar stand out in the AJ Fernandez line. To commemorate the union of father and son, AJ Fernandez is offering you this masterpiece at an MSRP of $6, unheard of for a cigar of this caliber. AJ Fernandez invites you to embark on the journey and smoke what he guarantees to be one of the most talked about cigars of the year, the New World Cigar Journal's #1 cigar of the year. And by Southern Cigar Festival. Southern Cigar Festival is a world-class cigar event coming to Atlanta, Georgia. On Saturday, June 6th from 2 p.m. to 8 p.m., the Verizon Amphitheater at Encore Park will be home to the largest cigar event ever in the state of Georgia. Guests will receive premium cigars from 35 different cigar manufacturers hailing from 9 different countries. There will be personal guest appearances from many of the big-name cigar makers and industry personalities. In addition, Southern Cigar Festival will feature prizes, raffles, live music, and plenty of food and drink. Check out the limited VIP tickets and even more limited private VIP box packages, which include early access to the event and plenty of additional amenities. Tickets are on sale now through Ticketmaster and on the event website at southerncigarfestival.com. Tickets are going fast, so get yours today. Welcome back, everyone, to the Stogie Geek Show. We've got our Stogies of the Week. I'm going to turn it over to Will to get started on his list.
Yeah, I'll just give a quick breaking news thing, though. For folks who are looking at Cigar Coop, you may see a new web design out there that looks like the cutover has started. So I want to thank Chris for that. He did a fantastic job. And I think most of the kinks are ironed out, so it looks really good. So just wanted to give a shout-out for folks looking at that.
I'm excited about the new logo, Will.
I did. Well, yeah. I mean, the logo. We finally have a logo, and
Logo's awesome.
yeah. I mean, Chris did a great job actually putting that logo on the site. Just looks really good. So I'm really, really happy with that.
Yes, more things to come on that front as well as we.
Yeah, there's a couple of posts that you may not see that came out late today, but they'll be up by tonight. So, but everything else looks pretty good. So,
It's very excited about that,
Yep.
Will. I think we're in control of our own destiny in the website, so we got a lot of flexibility to add more functionality to the website and keep everyone abreast of all the cigar news and reviews that you're cranking out. And I mean, not a lot of people are aware, or you may not be aware that Will puts out at least on average a post a day, right?
Over 1,000 consecutive days we've been able to do it, and it's kind of what differentiates us from a lot of people, I think, because we're not going anywhere. We're going to be around for a long time. And this move to the website is kind of a industrial strength platform, so to speak. So I'm real excited.
Yeah, so check out cigar-coop.com.
Yep. But anyway, for Stogies of the Week.
Yeah.
So I started off with a cigar you sent me about a while ago, and I just never smoked it. It's just kind of one of those things that kind of floated into my humidor. And I did a show with our buddy Dave Burke, from Australia, and he wanted to talk about some shop-exclusive cigars. So I pulled out and since we had Rocky on last week, I pulled out the Illusione Burn that you picked up for me down in Naples.
Yeah.
Yeah, which I had not smoked yet. I can't believe I didn't smoke it. And the reason why Rocky's connected is this is a cigar that Dion did for Rocky Patel's Lounge in Naples. So with the exception of there was a short time it was available from New Havana Cigars, it's pretty much been an exclusive for Rocky's Lounge. If you look at this cigar, it's got the Illusione style band, but it's red and white as opposed to black and white. And Burn is the name of the lounge in Naples, Florida. It's a Nicaraguan Puro. It's a 5x52. They go for about almost $10 for the Robustos, which is probably the price-wise, they're not more expensive than most of Dion's stuff. I'd say they're priced right where it is. This cigar I thought it was classic Dion, this cigar. in that it's medium in terms of its profile and strength and body. It had it had a very sweet spice, but it wasn't an overwhelming spice. It had a little bit of a woody note in there. I didn't find it to be a cigar that's going to transition a lot in flavors, but the flavors that were delivered were really good. It burned, so to speak, real well. Construction was excellent. I give it a fiver. I think it was a solid cigar. I mean, if you're down in Naples and you want, we talked about just on our last segment, trying something a little different. It's going to be a little different than with Dion stuff. If you like Dion stuff, it's a good cigar. It's worth a fiver.
Yeah, I think you're right, Will. It is different. I think it's very it's somewhat mild, right? Like it's not a really heavy cigar. Spice is subtle.
Its spice is subtle, but not overpowering spice. It's not very heavy on the palate. But there's spice. You know what I mean? But yeah, you're right. If this thing is medium, that's probably the max. This is not something that's even approaching full in terms of strength of body.
I smoked the Trill, and this comes from oh my God, a Villiger. Thank you. I totally blanked on the name. I was at a local shop, and I had not tried the Trill branded cigars. I picked up a few different sizes, and I started with this short Bellicoso. So this is it a 60 ring, Will? It's like a 58 or 60 ring.
Yeah.
Probably 4.5. So it's a really short, really fat Bellicoso, which is a very interesting size. And I definitely wanted to try it in this size because I thought it was interesting.
Yeah, it's a it's a 4.5 by 60.
Yeah, 4.5 by 60. This thing burned forever, dude. I mean, it's a short cigar, but I mean, you're gonna smoke this thing in excess of an hour and a half at least.
We're losing Mo a little.
The flavor I thought was really good. It was a much stronger cigar than I would have expected. For some reason, I didn't expect the kind of strength and spice that comes out of this cigar. It is a very spicy cigar, even for being a larger ring gauge. Like that wrapper still is spice is very prominent in this cigar. I thought it was good. I would give it a 5 rating just because it's kind of a fun cigar to smoke in that particular Vitola. I liked it. I thought it was good.
Yeah, and I don't know, I got cut off, but it's a 4.5 by 60 in that. And I would agree the Trill is probably the spiciest of those new Villiger lines that came out last year.
Yeah, it gives it some character and some dimension that's really nice. I think, age will be pretty kind to the cigar, especially that it's really spicy when it comes out. I think it's going to age well. I didn't get a lot of complexity or a whole ton of sweetness from it, which, is kind of what I would expect for something. I mean, the wrapper just looks so beautiful on it, and that's kind of why it didn't rank any higher in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably about where I put it. I think there's one size, maybe, I think it's more of the traditional Parejo. I'd probably it could approach a box split on some of those other sizes, but for the most part.
Yeah, and Jana recommended the Toro, which I have not smoked yet, and she said that was her favorite size in line, because I was like, this short Bellicoso looks really cool, Jana. Like, I got to try these. She's like, yeah. She's like, but make sure you pick up a Toro, too. She's like, I don't want to tell you what to buy. She's like, but I like the Toro the best. I'm like, well, I'm going to pick up one of those and try it as well. And I have not smoked that one yet. So
I would give the Toro a shot on that. I think it's better. I have not had the 4.5 by 60, but I've had the Gordo, which is a 60. And I would agree it's kind of around that, a 5.
Yeah, maybe some more of that wrapper and a little less filler in some of those sizes will produce some better results for the cigar. A very interesting size is, again, gorgeous looking cigar.
Agree with that.
Back to you, Will.
So this is one. This is a new cigar from AJ Fernandez. I have one more of these left coming your way. And I mentioned it in our Debonair Ideal, if you heard that segment. It's the latest addition to AJ Fernandez's New World line. It's the New World Connecticut, which actually news was broken on Stogie Geeks for the world heard about this cigar coming out for the first time, but it's finally about to ship. It is, so AJ Fernandez has some Connecticut's out there. Couple of differences, though. With this one, he's using a U.S. Connecticut shade wrapper as opposed to an Ecuadorian Connecticut shade wrapper.
Interesting.
And it's not that he took this wrapper and stuck it on the New World blend. What they did is they created a whole new blend from the ground up, but it's part of the New World line. It's a collaboration with AJ and his father. It's a value price cigar, so it's going to be in that $6 range. They're using a San Andreas binder on this, as well as fillers from Nicaragua and Brazil. And the 6x52 Toro is what I smoked. The other thing, what I'll say about this, so AJ Fernandez has some Connecticut's out there in the San Latano line, and they're kind of more ballsy Connecticut's. I think they're more bolder than the traditional Connecticut, especially the regular San Latano Connecticut in the Requiem line. I think it's one of the more bolder and interesting smokes. I think that's one of those cigars that came out about 5 years ago, and it started to change that trend for making more bolder Connecticut's. The New World is going to take it all back to tradition here. This is a mild cigar. It's mild in strength, maybe mild to medium in body, so it's not going to knock you over. It's got a great creamy, like almost milky cream note to this cigar. It's got some cedar. You'll get some nuts in there. But the cedar, again, is not going to, it's very, very subtle. So it's not going to weigh heavy, and you're not going to get that sharpness from it at all. But it's going to give it and there's a little sweetness that comes from that cedar, mixing with those cream notes as well. A little bit of a nut note also in there. It's pretty much, I thought, the only thing, it did burn very quick. I thought it was a little bit of an open drawer. It burned very quick, but it didn't have any, that was the only adverse effect of the fast burn, is it just shortened the smoking experience. There wasn't any what I call combustion issues in terms of, it didn't lead to anything, I thought, harshness or anything like that. This is a great cigar. They're going to sell a lot of these cigars, and knowing how AJ Fernandez and their marketing or their sales team, they could put this in the hands of a lot of smokers for $6 who are smoking those, a lot of those tried and true Connecticut cigars that are out there, the Monte Cristo Whites, the Macanudos. I've smoked a couple of these. I'm not. This is a home run by AJ Fernandez. But
and it was really mild, Will.
It's really mild.
Really,
it was.
That's kind of surprised me from AJ. I would have thought just in my assessment of the market, would have come out with one of those kind of more bolder, spicier Connecticut's. But there is, I think, room in everyone's wheelhouse for those super mild Connecticut's. And again, I talked about when I get in the car at 5:30 in the morning to drive to Boston. Dude, I'm smoking something that's super mild. Like, that's super early. First cigar of the day. I need to have one with coffee when it's super early. I haven't had breakfast yet. There's definitely a place for that. I got to imagine with that creamy component, though, it'll probably go well even if you've had breakfast.
Yeah, it's definitely one. I wouldn't advise having any cigar on an empty stomach, but it's one you could have on, with just that cup of coffee. It's funny. I pinged Todd Vance, the national sales manager for AJ, as I'm smoking this. He goes, I haven't even smoked it yet. I said, well, you guys have something in that portfolio that really could. And AJ didn't have that cigar in his portfolio that could reach this. They just didn't put a Connecticut that was it's not going to compete with the other Connecticut. It's a whole new profile, and it proved AJ Fernandez could blend a mild cigar really good. That was
people say, and the blenders we've interviewed say that's a hard thing to do.
Oh yeah, we've heard Paul Joyle say it. We've heard Fred Rui. A lot of folks. It's not easy to blend that, and they, like I said, they didn't just take the New World. This is a completely different blend, but they're gonna get the cigar in a lot of smokers. Maybe not necessarily every stogie geek. If you're someone who can't smoke something below medium, it's not gonna be a cigar for you. But they're gonna reach. Mild smokes are still the number one selling smokes, and this one I think is really competitive with these other ones.
Interesting.
Yep. So you have to let me know what you think when you get it. So I have one for you.
I smoked an El Premier Mundo Epifania. Did I say that right?
Epiphania.
Epiphania. Thank you. Yep. I wrote it right. I said it wrong. Epiphania Perfecto. And I smoked through a few different sizes, and this one stood out to me, Will. This one was pretty good. It's a pretty mild cigar as well. This is, kind of like a morning smoke for me, although it'll hold up in the afternoon as well. I would say it's, it's a mild to medium, maybe medium-bodied cigar. It had some good flavors, some very subtle underlying sweetness, a little bit of spice up front. I thought that the Perfecto size definitely stood out in this blend in being, kind of changing up the most and being the most smokable in my opinion. I liked it. I gave it a 5. I thought this was a great blend, a good medium-bodied cigar, and in this size, especially the Perfecto, I think it's something that you should give a try.
I like that cigar. Now that cigar went through a factory change. Just to be aware, originally it was blended at El Titan de Bronze in Miami, and they moved it to. You there?
Yeah, you still there, Will?
Are you getting music?
No.
Okay. All right, I must have hit something. Oh, now it's gone. Yeah, so yeah, they moved the factory, so I'm not sure which one you smoked, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I got these next door after we interviewed Sean Williams. And he said, my cigars are in the Havana Club. I was like, dude, I promise I'm going to go buy one, and I'm going to review it on the show. And I held true to my word, and I did. I bought a line sampler of his cigars. And this was one of my favorites. Like I said, I thought it was really good. I'm not sure when they got them or which factory this one came from. So
yeah, if they've been in there for a while, they're probably the El Titan de Bronze. I have not had the. They moved it to PDR, so I haven't smoked the PDR one yet.
Okay.
So I can't. And that last year is when that happened, so I can't comment on it. But I think it's a solid cigar. I like the Toro in that one. That was my preference.
Okay. I think I might have picked up a Toro too. Maybe I'll smoke that one as well.
Yep. Yeah. Let me know.
Back to you, Will.
So this is the next one. It's also you'll be getting. Thanks to our friend John Carney. He's sent the La Flor Dominicana, the TAA cigar, the TAA 47. Interesting story what they did. The TAA is that group of retailers. Every year they get a line of exclusive cigars, and what La Flor did, I thought was real interesting. They went every year at this. They have a convention, and that's where all the TA retailers do their ordering of these exclusive cigars. So La Flor went down there, and before they went down there, they sent every one of the TA retailers a 3-pack of cigars of the same blend called the Contenders. And in there, they put a 6x60 Gordo, a 6.5x54 box press Torpedo, and a 5.5x52 Toro of the same blend. And they basically said to the retailers, "You decide when you come down there. Vote with your pocketbook, right? In terms of which one you would order the most of, and then I guess you would just get whatever one won. You'd get that amount. So the one that won was the Toro, the 5.5x52. And I've been a little critical of some of these TAA sticks over the past few years. I think I have access to a TAA shop very close, and I think there's been too many of these blends coming out. I think that they should be very special cigars. And in the last couple of years, I've seen less and less of them. But this one, I think, was a better one. I thought it was a really good cigar. I thought it was classical Flor Dominicana. It had notes of cocoa, earth. It had a nice grassy note in there. There was a little tanginess on the pepper. So it was like, but sometimes I get tanginess and it's young. This wasn't like a young tanginess. This was kind of like, almost like it just was real smooth and it had a little bit of sweetness to it. It just added the perfect touch to this cigar. I'd say this cigar, medium strength, maybe it goes to medium to full by midpoint, and it's medium to full in body. It burned beautiful. It just had excellent construction. I gave it a box split. I think, I think this was a really nice addition to the TAA line. That certainly, I think La Flor fans will be very happy with this cigar. So definitely, I'm kind of curious to see what you'll think of this one as well.
Yeah, I can't wait to smoke that.
Yeah.
I like LFD a lot. In fact,
Yeah.
I'll talk about one of their cigars in this segment as well. Now, Will, you sent me a Christoph cigar, and I don't know what this one is at all. And it's interesting, just so our listeners know, when Will send me cigars, Will doesn't tell me really what he sends me. Now, he doesn't unban them, right? So I know, like, by looking at it, what I'm smoking. But before I light them up, I resist the temptation. Like, I really want to go Google search and, like, read all the reviews. But I don't want to have any preconceived notions. So I kind of fall in between the unbanded kind of experience and just me, I'm smoking the cigar. Like, I know I'm smoking a Christoph cigar. I don't know which one it is. I don't want to know what the wrapper binder filler is. I just want to focus on smoking the cigar. And again, it's not completely an unbanded experience, but I don't research the cigar. So a lot of times we'll get to the show like we are now, and I'll say, I smoked this Christoph cigar, and I have no idea what it is. And that's intentional, because I don't want to know what it is until we talk about it on the show. So,
Yeah,
Will, what did you send me?
Yes, I like that. Paul and I were talking about this earlier, and I think it adds a little more to what we can bring to the show, too, at times. In fact, I wish I could have the luxury of doing that once in a while, too. But what it is it's their new release. And I know Paul's been a big Christoph guy.
I was going to say this had to be a new release because I didn't recognize it at all.
No, you wouldn't. It's called the Christoph Classic Reserva. And right now, 200 boxes, it's available in 3 sizes, but only 200 boxes per size. It only went to the TAA for now. Our friends at the Tinderbox in Charlotte had it, and I picked it up there. But it will be going more widespread towards IPCPR.
So the one you sent me, was this like a Toro-sized cigar?
It was a 6x52 Toro.
Yep.
It's made down in the Dominican Republic at the PDR Cigar Factory. Ecuadorian Habano wrapper, Nicaraguan binder, and then I like it has this by the way, I haven't smoked this yet, so this is gonna be interesting. It has a trifecta of the big 3 countries in filler: Nicaraguan, Honduran, and Dominican.
It's got a slight box press to it as well.
It looks like it has a slight box press to it. Yeah. I wouldn't say it's a box press, but
it's got a box press-ish shape to it.
Yeah. So no, like I said, Paul. I noticed certain brands that Paul really likes. I happened to pick this up, and in the last shipment I sent to Paul, I said, let's see what happens with. So I haven't smoked it yet. I'm kind of curious to see what your thoughts are.
Well, I thought it was really good. I mean, just to set the stage for this, I really liked it. I thought it was different enough to hold my attention, so much so that I really want to smoke more of these to really focus on the flavors, because I thought they were kind of subtle. And after I smoked it, I was like, that was really good, but like I can't make the connections to the flavors that I was getting. Like I really want to smoke more and pay more attention to them, because it was really, really good. The smoking experience was great. It had a nice kind of subtle spice to it. Some really great, it was a medium bodied. It had a little bit, it's interesting you say that the tobacco is from 3 different countries, because you kind of got that little hint of earth, that little hint of wood. And now that you say that, it all kind of makes sense that what was going on with this cigar. They did a fantastic job blending it, because it really kind of demanded your attention. And I appreciate that in a cigar. The wrapper is gorgeous looking. The beautiful red footband with the the red and gold band. They did a nice job with the packaging. Burn and construction were awesome. I called it a box split, and I fully intend that rating could get even higher as I smoke more of these. I think the cigar is going to benefit from age, and it was a great offering from Glenn and all the folks at Christoph.
Yeah, no, that's good to hear. I mean, like I said, right now it's only at the TAA shops, but you should start seeing that. Your local retailers probably around the summertime, more widespread. So, like I said, I was looking forward to. I just didn't get around to smoking it yet. Now you got me wanting to smoke it.
Yeah, this is one Stogie Geeks listeners should definitely seek out for sure.
Yep, no, I agree. He did a good job, it sounds like, with that.
Back to you, Will.
So based on what last week you talked about the cigar, so I smoked it. I had a different size of it. The Cesar, the Espinal Habano. All right. So you talked about that one last week, and you smoked it.
Yeah, this is the one with the red cedar, the cedar sleeve with the red ribbon on the end. Yeah. This one, I'm curious to see what you think about this one.
Yeah, so you really had me intrigued with this, but I've heard a lot of good things about this cigar. It had some very good ratings out there. It has Ecuadorian Habano wrapper. It has a Dominican Corojo binder, and fillers from the Dominican and the U.S. My guess, I have a guess where it may be from the U.S. My guess is Pennsylvania, but I have no idea. It's just my guess. I smoked it in a little bit bigger, thinner size, which is the 6x50. And one thing is, you mentioned it last week. That cedar sleeve is really playing a role in this cigar.
Yeah, like, I don't know, and I've smoked a lot of cigars with the cedar sleeve, Will, and this one just had the strongest cedar aroma, I think, out of any other cedar sleeve, and that's not a negative comment in any way, shape, form, or fashion. Like, it was a really cool thing to have, like, when it just the aroma from it and the way I think it infuses some of that cedar into the cigar, and just enough to really allow you to taste it, but not overpower it or impact it in any kind of negative way.
It had the best way I could say it. You're right. A smooth cedar. It wasn't a sharp cedar. It had some sweetness to it. I got some very interesting notes. I got a little bit of chocolate on this thing. I got this is gonna. I hate coming up with sometimes these analogies. I got a lime note off this thing. I don't know how to say.
I don't know if I could call it lime. I have to smoke more to really make
There's
those
something off
connections.
that's different.
But you're right. There is something very different in this cigar, Will, which is why I think we both kind of rated it as high as we did. Was there's something different about it that we don't normally get from other cigars. I think that strong cedar was one component, and I think the other flavors that it had really just catches your attention.
I didn't expect that to come out. You know, you have preconceived notions. This is not a knock on any company. I did not expect I'd be coming out of this with a box split. Just nothing wrong with the cigar. Your expectations maybe are lower, but that was really, and like I knew it was rated high. Overall, it was. There were a few more touch-ups I had to do on mine than I liked. A little bit of a loose ash, but that's really the only. They're minor. In general, the cigar performed very well, and it was enjoyable.
Interesting. I like it when we both smoke something new and we're like, wow, that's really different and that's really good.
Yeah, no, I agree.
And it doesn't always work out that way either. I mean, we smoke a ton of new blends and brands, and they're not all good. I hate to say that, but they're not. I mean, they're not. Not everyone is going to really stand out. This is one that was like, wow, that's really cool. So
yeah. We just talked to Mel Shaw from M Bombay, and guys who have vision with their bands, and I read a little bit of backstory of Cesar. He seems to have some real vision for what he wanted to do with his cigars. I've got to see if I can get in touch with these guys. There's a Maduro I sent you as well with a darker ribbon. I'm going to hit the Maduro to see what that's like.
Yeah, I still have those to review. I have not reviewed them yet. I still have a couple. Yeah, I have a few more of those, so maybe we'll do that for next week.
Definitely.
Yeah, I didn't smoke as many this week because I was traveling. I spent the whole day yesterday at a conference where I was unable to smoke cigars, so I'm a little behind in my reviewing.
I'm in this review cycle where there's a few that I've gotten and I've had to smoke multiple, so it seems like I've smoked a little less variety this week.
Yeah.
It happens.
Sometimes you have to do that too. No, I agree.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's good. I agree. Well, sometimes you got to smoke multiple of the same cigar to really do it some justice. Well, I did smoke one that you sent me. It was a 1907 by Dunhill.
Was it the box press or the round? I couldn't tell from the picture.
This is a box press.
Okay.
It was like a box press Toro, I would say.
Yep.
I'm not. Again, this is not one that I researched or did any kind of investigation into. I saw Dunhill on there, and I was like, I've tried some Dunhills in the past, and I haven't been a big fan. And I'm sure that kind of factored in my review. I have to say, this cigar started off with some really fresh and unique flavors, Will. There was a lot of wood and earth notes that were very kind of lively on your palate. Like, they really kind of woke your palate up when you first smoked this and went through the first, like, half an inch or so. Unfortunately, after that, I mean, I don't want to... I almost said the cigar fell apart. It didn't fall apart, but it kind of got into this groove where those really vibrant flavors dissipated, and it was this kind of, like, one-dimensional, earthy profile for the rest of the cigar. It didn't hold my attention much after that. Had the cigar kept those really vibrant, really dynamic flavors that it had in the first half an inch or so, I would have rated the cigar much higher. But it kind of made this like one transition and then kind of stuck with it throughout. Therefore, giving it the try one rating.
I probably would agree with you on that one. I think that's where I would put that one. I did. It's interesting because I did a blind review with the folks from Blind Man's Puff on that, and I rated it. There's actually something in the Stogie feed on it. I smoked the rounded one in the Robusto, and I rated it a try one as well.
Interesting. So you smoked this blind. So like I said, I saw that it was Dunhill.
Yeah.
I know a lot of the Dunhill cigars aren't in my wheelhouse, so I had that preconceived notion. But you smoked it without the preconceived notion, and you still rated it pretty much the same as me.
I had to try one. I thought it was a little stronger. I was a little surprised it was a Dunhill.
It was, yeah. It's a little stronger for a Dunhill. You typically think of that cigar you can light up at 5:30 in the morning,
Right.
And it's very, very light. Is how you would think of Dunhill. Looking at this cigar with that darker wrapper, I kind of felt like it wasn't going to be like that, and I was actually kind of hopeful. I'm like, well, maybe they're trying some different things and working with some different tobaccos, but that was my assessment. So
No, I would probably agree with you on that.
Back to you, Will.
So my next cigar actually was my smoke of the week, and actually I smoked this I smoked it last Thursday before the show, but I didn't have time to pull some notes together. It was the Viaje Holiday Blend in the 2014 edition, which I hadn't smoked yet. So they took a year off Viaje from the Holiday Blend.
Mm-hmm.
And so they didn't do it 2013, but they were planning on it. And they were originally, when they announced the 2013, they were going to do a 4.5 by 56, like short, fat Robusto. Then Andre announced it wasn't happening. He wasn't releasing it because I think there was just some delays. But fast forward to this year, he announces there's a 4.5 by 56 coming out for 14. And this kind of plays into what I was saying. This cigar was absolutely fantastic. It might be the best holiday blend I've had since the original, which is kind of what everyone looks at. I'd say it is. It is. It really approaches that second. It is a powerhouse of a cigar, though. And I wonder if this even had some. I wonder if these were the 13s that were aged. Is just my wonder.
It could be. It
could be. I don't know.
I've smoked holiday blends like kind of on and off when they come out, and I can't remember exactly where I rated them, Will. I'm not surprised that after some age you would rate this so high because, as we've talked about, a lot of those Viaje tobaccos and Viaje blends, they do different things with age, and they can be spectacular with a year or two of age or more. And I think they all kind of reach their peak. So I'm going to go through my collection and see what I have a holiday blend with. Maybe I'll smoke some of mine and see how we compare.
I've had some pretty big misses with the holiday blend in these past years. The second one was a big miss.
Mm-hmm.
But this one, I was shocked how it smoked in the 56 rain gauge. It had a lot of complexity to it. It had this coffee note. It kind of sometimes went to an espresso syrupy note that coated the palate, and other times it was like a classic dark chocolate note. But it's a strong cigar. This is not a cigar for first thing in the morning on an empty stomach. This is classic.
It had some punch to it. Yep.
It didn't lose any punch, but it's a box-worthy cigar. I really was a big surprise this cigar was to me. I really enjoyed it.
I've got kind of a lounge or a trip review, if you will.
Yep.
One of our production assistants, Nick, was with me in Boston. As I mentioned, we traveled there this week to do a conference. It was a computer security conference that we went to. And, we all kind of get in those modes. And I warned the guys, I'm like, I got things to do and, we're traveling and I want to get to bed early, but I'm really bad at that when we're in a social setting at a conference kind of thing. I'm like, I usually end up going out and having a good time, despite wanting to do the right thing and getting to bed early. Because when we go to these shows, we have to sit at a booth, just like they do at IPCPR, Will, right? You're a cigar manufacturer, you have to stand in a booth all day. It's a lot of work, dude. That's like really tiring. I mean, just as you're tired from covering the event, the cigar guys they're tired from standing at the booth all day, talking to people. So as much as I wanted after dinner to say, okay, let's go to bed, I get a couple of drinks in me, and I'm on my phone, like as we're paying the bill, and I'm like, yeah, we're going here next. And it turns out that where we were in Boston was about a 5-minute cab ride to the north end of Boston, where this classic, iconic cigar lounge is called Stanza Cigars. In 2008, the Stanza Cigar Lounge was rated #1 cigar lounge in the United States by Cigar Aficionado. I had heard about Stanza Cigars. I'd never been there. And I'm like, guys, we got to just go try it. I'm like, throw caution to the wind. I know we're going to be tired, but I'm like, we're out having a good time. I'm like, let's go to a cigar lounge, have a couple of drinks, and have a cigar. And couple of Nick, and there's the picture. There's Nick on the right, and Joff on the left. Nick is one of our production assistants, and works for us. Does a lot of actually software development for us. Joff is also a software developer and works for one of our partner organizations on the security side. Now, Nick and Joff aren't they don't smoke cigars at the same clip that I do by any stretch of the imagination. And they were like, yeah, let's go do cigars. And dude, Stanza was awesome. It had a great feel. It was kind of like in the basement kind of feel, like you walk down these steps, and it's just this old cigar lounge kind of feel. There's pictures on the wall of mob figures from classic movies smoking cigars, which just adds to the whole atmosphere. Humidors around, and the girl was very nice. She helped me through the humidors, and I chose for them. Speaking of recommending cigars for friends, they're like, I want something smooth. I want something that's not going to blow me away in terms of being really strong. And we were in kind of a celebratory mode. Joff was out here traveling. He doesn't normally come to this area, so it's unusual for us to get some FaceTime together. So I went with a Julius Caesar, the Toro, which is a lot of flavor, but not a really strong cigar. And for myself, I went the Padron, a 1926 series. Is it number 2? Or number 6 that's a torpedo?
It's a 2.
It's a 2 torpedo in the natural wrapper, which I love. I love the spiciness on that cigar. It's a great after-dinner cigar. We went with that, had some scotch, had some cognac, and had a great time. And it's a great lounge, dude. If you're ever in the Boston area, Will, that is the place that I would take you to.
What now? I thought, and again, a lot of the lounges have to close in Boston.
Yeah, Stanza stayed open, dude. Now, Stanza Cigar is on the north end of Boston, right? That's in Rhode Island, we call it Federal Hill. In Boston, they call it the North End. So it's all the Italian restaurants. It's like the Italian neighborhood inside of Boston, and that's where Stanza is, right on the main strip. I mean, the whole street was hopping, dude. I mean, there's restaurant after restaurant after restaurant, lots of bars, that kind of thing. And Stanza is right in the middle of the North End of Boston. So if you're in the Boston area, I would highly recommend. And I've been to quite a few cigar lounges in Boston. This is my recommendation. It's a great place to visit. It's a little bit of kind of a club feel. It's a little kind of noisy in there, and they got the music playing and stuff. But I thought it was fantastic. I had a great time.
No, I mean, that's something I definitely would love to check out. I mean,
yeah,
it sounds like an iconic
if we're ever
place.
in Boston together, dude, you and I should visit here. It's a really cool, really.
I
cool
like that.
lounge.
It's a good idea. It's a great idea.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun. So. In terms of cigars that I reviewed, you sent me an interesting La Flor Dominicana cigar. I couldn't even read the band, dude. It looked like LPD on the band. And that's not an F. That's a P. I couldn't even read it, dude. That's how old I am now.
Yeah, right?
So the band is kind of interesting. It's a red and black band.
You know what it is? You know what brand it is, right?
Yeah, so it's an LFD, La Flor Dominicana, right?
Yeah, yep.
So again, I didn't research. I'm like, I just want to smoke it. But I'm looking at this cigar. The wrapper's really, really rough looking. Now, Will, you know the whole backstory of this cigar, so I'm going to give my take on it because we talked earlier and we didn't talk about this cigar. So I'm going to give my take on it.
Yep.
Kind of almost blind, right? And so I noticed the end was already clipped. And I'm like, well, this is kind of a cheroot. And I knew the LFD had a cheroot cigar before that they produced that was it was limited. It was really high in strength. It was rated very highly by one of the other cigar blogs. I want to say it was Stogie Review, had rated this cigar really highly, and I had sought after it, being an LFD fan. I'm like, I really want to try this. And they were like, this cigar is really strong, but it's got awesome, awesome flavor. And that was kind of what this cigar was. I mean, this cigar was pretty strong. I have to say, though, there was this dark cherry fruit or some kind of fruit, I want to say cherry, sweetness that was just unbelievable in this cigar. Now, it was weird because it was a cheroot, and typically you associate cheroots with ones you buy in a bag or a can that, are Cuban, kind of filler, chopped filler or whatever, Cuban sandwich filler. But this tasted to me like really high-end tobacco. Awesome, awesome sweetness. Now, I clipped a little more off the end of my cheroot to get a little better because it goes in a torpedo, so I clipped a little bit off to get a little better draw. And the tobacco felt kind of wet, and that could be my humidor here. It's getting kind of humid here, so I need to make some adjustments to my humidor. I had to relight it a bunch of times, but that sweetness that this cigar put off was absolutely fabulous. I'm like, this is really awesome. Really, really dark rustic wrapper. I liked it. I called it a box split.
So, interesting, Paul. You didn't know much about this cigar.
On purpose. Like, I lit it up, and I'm like, I said I just want to smoke it.
Okay, so basically, you're right in the wheelhouse with everything. It is a cheroot. They did make a cheroot for, I know one store in North Carolina up at Empire Cigars had it.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the NAS.
Yeah, the NAS.
The NAS. Word is it stands for nasty shit, Yeah. That's the rumor. That's the rumor. Now, here's the catch. This is what you were right on the money with. Let me ask you one question. Strength-wise, how strong was that cigar?
It was strong, but I didn't get dizzy or lightheaded or sick in any way, shape, form, or fashion.
Okay.
And I didn't have like a huge meal before I smoked it either. I thought it was strong, but again, it wasn't like off the chart strong for me.
Yeah. So I smoked this a year ago when it came out, and I think it might have lost a little. It might have tempered a little, but it's still a pretty strong cigar. So, kind of give you the heads up. It's 100% Ligero blend.
Nice.
Which is why you probably had a burn problem.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because it was tough to keep lit. Like, you got to really pay attention to the pacing on this cigar and make sure that you keep it lit. But saying that it's 100% Ligero really explains that sweetness flavor that I got. Because as I learned from like Nat Sherman blendings and smoking the Rocky Patel Super Ligero, Ligero is very strong tobacco, which is typically what we associate it with. However, it's taking all that nutrients from the plant. Like, it's getting the most sun, so it's getting the most nutrients. So it's got a really, really awesome flavor profile. It's jam-packed with flavor. And I think that people kind of misinterpret the strength and flavor, and they get overpowered with strength, and they miss the flavor. The flavor on Ligero is super, super sweet. I mean, again, it's like dark chocolate candy in this cigar, which it was like the number one thing that contributed to my high rating of this cigar was that overwhelming sweetness.
Yeah, and the other thing is, and you're right on the money, what they did is, part of that Ligero is incorporating Pelo de Oro, which has got a lot of sweetness to it. And that was exactly what shocked me when I reviewed this cigar, and I reviewed it March of last year. That's what surprised me. I was expecting, I looked at the cheroot, I was expecting spice, pepper,
kind of harshness is what
I did not expect the sweetness to come out of this.
It was smooth and sweet, dude.
Yep. I had it as a 5er, but like I said, I had it when it first hit. And that was about a year. In fact, Pipe up the store in North Carolina got a 1-month exclusive on it. So I really had this very early before it hit the market.
Yeah.
So I had it, I could see, though, that cigar having the aging potential when I smoked it. So, like I said, for an all Ligero blend, it really surprised me how good that cigar was. And it really, I thought it was the Pelo de Oro. I mean, look, this is not a cigar you're gonna give to a new smoker by any.
No.
But it was a fun smoke, is the best way to put it.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'd like to try more of these. I'd like to dry box this cigar for a day or two before I smoked it.
Dry it.
I would dry it out a little bit before I smoked it to kind of overcome some of those burn issues, and I think it would perform better, and I think it would give a more consistent flavor because it was kind of weird to have to keep relighting it like that. I think it detracted from the experience, and but I tell you what, every time I relit it, that sweet flavor came back, and I was like, wow, this is really good.
That was what was. I mean, I'm looking at what I wrote even on it, and that's what surprised me was I couldn't believe what the sweetness that came out of that cigar was. It's not an everyday cigar by any means.
No,
but it's a nice change of pace one, and it's like I said, it's easily worth a 5er. I could see it maybe going to a box split if I smoked it again. It's one worth checking. It's not it doesn't look like a La Flor Dominicana, but they were going for something different with that.
Yeah.
And yet, by the way, the tip in that, just as a footnote, is pre-cut.
Yeah, it is pre-cut. I noticed it was pre-cut, and I was like, the draw on it wasn't quite where I wanted it to be, so I clipped it maybe twice, a little higher just to get a better draw, so that it would combust a little better for me and burn a little better. Because that Ligero is very, it's tough to burn. So
Yeah, and I'm actually going back on my notes. I took off about 1/8 of an inch of it as well.
Yeah,
yeah. You have to take a look.
Thing,
it's
right.
going to be too. It's going to be too narrow, and it's a
You're
saliva.
not going to get it to burn, dude, if you don't cut it anymore.
Yeah. You'll get too much saliva on that. So I agree.
You got any more smokes, Will?
I'm done.
You want to do a contest?
Yeah.
What? I haven't been thinking about questions.
Okay.
What do we want to give away? We're going to give away a Smoke Naked shirt.
Give away a Smoke Naked shirt.
We don't have M. Bombay cigars to give away, right?
I do. So if you want, I can handle this one.
Okay.
So I will give away but yeah, I'll send you guys, we'll figure out how to get this together.
Okay.
So
what do you want to give away for? I feel like we should give away some M. Bombay cigars because I really want our listeners to try it.
Yeah, I think we should. And what I will do is I will put together a 3-pack of M. Bombays. And the question is really, really simple. Name the country that Mel Shaw and M. Bombay are producing their cigars out of.
There you go.
Yep.
Email the answer to the show at stogiegeeks.com, and we'll send you a 3-pack of M. Bombay cigars. And I tell you, I think you're really going to like these cigars.
Yep. Yeah, I think so too.
I was super impressed with the Lancero, dude.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I've been the Mora and the Casaras, and I think that Casara in the Shag is really good. Now, I smoked the Mora in this 585, that 5x58, and was really surprised. I didn't how good it smoked. So, this is the second one of those I've had in that size. It's really good.
Awesome. Well, that concludes the Stogie Geek Show. Thanks, everyone, for watching. We'll be back next week. We get a full schedule, certainly for the next probably 8 weeks or so.
We are booked right till IPCPR with guests. So.
Yeah, so stay tuned. We'll be back next week. Thanks for watching.